Hey everybody, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, and welcome to WIP Wednesday, episode number 147. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a piecing, like a quilting demo, on what I would consider probably the fastest way to piece either a multi-unit quilt block or I should say, an entire quilt top. As y'all know, cutting is usually my favorite part of the quilt making process, so I don't really enjoy piecing the whole thing together, especially when we work on really big quilts. It can take a long time to piece those blocks together. So we're going to jump into that demo in a minute, but I have a few other things to kind of just update y'all on, invite you to join, administrative heads up type of things that we have going on. But before we even do that, let's pop into the chat and see who is tuning in. So if you are in the chat, go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm coming to y'all from my home crafting studio here in North Central Florida, where it was just pouring and now the sun is out, as usual. All right, we got Alicia in the house from Houston, Texas. We got Lorio from Phoenix, Arizona, tuning in. Hi, Susie. Hi, Tracy. Hey, Jackie from Maryland. We got another Jackie from Dover, PA. Chris from Palm Coast. Diana from Columbia, South Carolina. Hi, Zena. That's a neighbor here in North Central Florida. And we got Gloria tuning in from Arkansas, too. So welcome, welcome, everybody. Oh, we got Mari tuning in from South Wales in the UK. Awesome. Great. So I'm glad that y'all can see me and hear me. Hi, Mary from Michigan. First things first. In my organizer club, y'all may recall that we talked about an organizer club second edition. We've already posted all the video courses. We've gone through all 5 projects, the live Q&A. All we have left is one more live question and answer session for project number 5. So for those of you that joined the organizer club second edition and you didn't check your emails yet or anything, the video course on my Clearview roll-up organizer was posted, Monday? Whatever day it was scheduled, I posted it early that day, a couple hours early. So if you haven't had a chance to log in, or maybe you were waiting on project number 5 so that you could make one of these organizers, definitely go ahead and log into your account on our website. And the only thing is, I know a couple people emailed me and said they didn't see the videos. It's because there's so many videos that at the bottom you got to go to page 2, okay? So if you scroll through and you get to project number 4 and you're wondering where's project number 5 video lessons, it's because it says page 1 of 2, and just click the little arrow to go to the second page, and that's where all the video lessons and the PDF for the next project are, the project 5, okay? So we're all finished up with that organizer club. If you missed out on that, we will be reopening the doors, the virtual doors, for this next month in October, okay? And then I would say, if you missed out on it and are thinking, or maybe you're new here, what is this organizer club? How could I get in on these things? You know, maybe you're new to my channel and things like that. Make sure that you join our email newsletter, because that is the absolute best way for you to be in the loop of everything we have going on. And if you don't know, whenever I launch either a new video course or a new club, the lowest price it will ever be is right then when I launch it, when it's brand new. So if you're tuning in to our live shows like this one, or you're checking your emails, you're going to be able to get first dibs on those, instead of like 6 months or a year down the line, you come across it and then the price is going to be higher if it's available to join. So just keep that in mind, okay? And the link for my newsletter is below. You can also go to craftygemini.com and click on the email list link, and you can add yourself there too. Okay, that's one. Number 2, we still have a few of the Fruity Fabric bundles to go around. So if you wanted to grab one of these, make sure that you go ahead and grab it. In past episodes, the last one or the one before that, we went ahead and talked about how to make this little simple block from, I think it was the Kimberly quilt in one of the stripology books. I showed you how to use stripology rulers to make these blocks, so you can see the fabrics featured in these couple quilt blocks here. I also used that Fruity Fabric to make the organizer here that I did film in the tutorial. Okay, so that one was featured there too. So just to give you some kind of project ideas for those of you that are thinking of getting the bundle, or those of you that already ordered from the bundles or the Fruity Fabric bundle and you have it at home and you're kind of like, I don't know what to do. There's lots and lots of things that you can do with the full 3-yard bundle that you get. So it's 6 different Fruity Fabrics, these guys, okay? And they're discounted for sure, okay? So it's a great price and a great way to add some new fun little fabrics to your stash that coordinate too, okay? So that was the second thing I was gonna say. Third thing, we are kicking off a brand new video sew along for my essentials tote bag, and it kicks off tomorrow night with a live question and answer session. It's kind of a Q&A. You can tune in live and ask me questions, but I'm going to be going over the supplies and sharing with y'all what fabrics I'm going to be using to make mine. So if we want to show them what the essentials tote bag looks like, we can put a couple pictures up here for those of you that don't know. Lots of students, hundreds of students have already made it. It lends itself really nicely to a bunch of different fabrics. I'm going to be sharing some tips on different types of handles that you can add to your essentials tote bag. And I actually tried to find my old one, the one that I made, and I used it as my everyday purse for over 3 years. It was pretty ragged, but it was super cute. Anyway, for those of you that know about the bag, maybe you had purchased leather handle straps from us in years past when we first launched the course. We have some of the leather straps back in stock, okay? So I just restocked. I think this is a dark mahogany color. And then they have the same texture, and then the textured black. So if you have signed up in the last couple of days for the Essentials Tote Bag Sew Along, you've signed up for the class. By the way, the class is $10 off the regular price this week only because, to kind of encourage y'all to sign up for the Sew Along. So if you're thinking you want to do it, $10 off. That's a little bit more of an incentive there for you to save some money and make one of these bags with us. I know several of you, I think Janelle was the one that said she needed a new purse for fall. So she's going to be making one. I'm like, yep, I need something new too. And it's a great bag. We talk about, there's 7 step-by-step video lessons that never expire. If the link is below if you want to sign up, okay? If you sign up for the class, you can immediately start watching the videos. There's also, I believe it's 2 pages long, the PDF with written step-by-step instructions that I always provide so that it supplements the video lessons. It is beginner friendly, and you will learn 2 different types of zipper making techniques. And then it has the main zipper compartment, a zippered pocket on the inside, and 2 patch pockets on the outside. You probably saw it in the couple pictures that we put up here. It's like the perfect everyday purse. It's a great size, and I love it. Tracy says she's all signed up. Oh, Jackie says she wore this t-shirt that I'm wearing now yesterday, my hook plus yarn equals magic shirt. You can probably get these in the shop. I'm not sure what we have in stock and in colors, but at the craftygemini.com/shop link, you can shop for t-shirts. We have a menu specifically for stuff like that you can check it out, okay? So the leather straps are for sale right now. So we stocked some of them just to, for people that are following along with the Essentials Tote Bag sew along. If you needed leather straps for your purse, you can use the link that I put in the description box below if you're on YouTube. And then it's in the caption, I believe, if you're on Facebook too. So it's also in our page on the featured tab. Y'all know how we do that. If there's new stuff or we restock things, I usually will put it up on the featured tab. Barbara has a great question. She says, if we already own the course from the 2018, it was actually in the 2019 bag club, I think. No, maybe that was a quilt club. Yeah, 2019 bag club, I think it was. Barbara, she says, do we have to buy it again? You don't. Whenever you sign up for any of my courses, the course is yours to access indefinitely. The video lessons never expire. For those of you that have access to the Essentials Tote Bag video course through the 2019 Bag Club, just send me a quick email, and what I'll do is I'll add the course individually, like as an individual course. That way it's just quicker and easier for you to just log in and click on that class instead of having to log into the club and scroll through all the projects of that club to then find the Essentials Tote. Does that make sense? So no, you don't have to get it again, and I will add it individually so you can access it easier. Then you'll just have it twice on your account, which is no big deal, okay? Just send me a quick email, and I think, Barbara, I think I emailed you. Did I? I'm not sure. But if not, just send me a quick email and I'll add it to your account. We already started kind of manually adding all the people, but there's like 1,200 students in that club. So if you know you want to participate in the sew along and you want the link to the live question and answer session that we're kicking off tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, email me and we'll get it done tonight. That way you'll have the link to do the live. If you want to participate in the sew along, but you cannot tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, no big deal. The live Q&A chat, I'm going to be talking about going over the supplies and getting ready to make the Essentials Tote Bag. It's all recorded, and the replay will just be in the class for you to watch whenever you want, okay? So you can always watch the replay. Great. Yes, okay, yeah, Gloria emailed me. She says, thank you for setting me up for the live chat that starts tomorrow. Yep, I already had added you, so great. I'm glad you got that email. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So that is that. The leather straps are for sale. We have them in stock right now, obviously while supplies last. I just did some of the black and that dark mahogany color. That was number 3. Number 4, and let's get all this stuff. This is the last thing I think I need to mention before we jump into our demo. The last thing is, I posted a little Halloweeny reel on Facebook, and I asked if y'all would be interested in me doing some type of a Halloween tutorial series this year, and a bunch of you said yes, so we are putting it together. So my team and I have been working on this, and we put together like a little image just to let y'all know. The week of October 7th through the 11th, okay? I'm going to be hosting Spooky Craft Week. It's going to be a week of wicked crafts with Crafty Gemini, and I'm going to be doing all Halloween themed crafts. Even if if you don't decorate and stuff for Halloween, don't worry about it because you will get ideas for other craft projects, especially all the sewing ones. You know how that goes. You just choose the fabric that you want. Just choose the fabric that you want, and you can make it, for any holiday, for any theme, for any gift. All right. Am I still on? So I am on. Okay, awesome. Jacqueline has a question. She says, we need to sign up for tomorrow. How much does it cost? So the online course for the Essentials Tote Bag is $37 regular. It's on sale right now for $27, just for this week for people who want to join in on the sew along, okay? So $27 for the class. You have the videos indefinitely. You can watch them whenever, and that way you can participate with the live. We're doing 2 live Q&A sessions for the Essentials Tote Bag, okay? So I don't know if we'll be able to put up the picture or not, but anyways, I see a bunch of, yay, Halloween. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing those little Halloweeny crafts. I know if you've been watching my channel since last year, the year before, I love to do, we host a Halloween party. This will be the 4th year hosting a Halloween party for the kids and some of my friends that have younger kids than mine. And so it's super fun, I think, to decorate and to do all types of little Halloweeny crafty projects. All right, so that's going to be October 7th through the 11th. Those video tutorials will be posted to my YouTube channel. So if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you do that. And then I'm going to be kind of filling in with some live sessions of that. So it's going to be a mix, okay, of like edited, posted tutorials, and then I'll be tuning in live. For those of you that follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you've probably seen, I'll pop over here. We're having some technical issues, but that's all right. I went ahead and crocheted these super cute little stuffies. You probably saw them on my Instagram and my Facebook. One is a little pumpkin, super cute. And then the other one is this little ghost with the little witchy hat on. I thought they were adorable, and they were so fun. They were actually super quick to whip up. This one I made the full body in like less than 40 minutes because we're using a chunky yarn. Now, the pattern for these I bought from an Etsy seller called Green Crafts, and Green has an E at the end of Green and then Crafts. If you do a search for her, I'm sure you'll find it. Or just type in like pumpkin crochet stuffies, but they're crocheted. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. My daughter had a sleepover last weekend and the girls wanted them. I was even teaching one of them how to crochet. Anyway, I'm going to have some of these little decorative things up here in my sewing room for next month, so that'll be super cute. Yeah, Windless Original says I hadn't seen the ghost. I thought it was so cute. I didn't quite have like the darker purple. I had mostly like light pastel colors of this chunky yarn, but I think this is Premier Parfait in chunky. Is if you're looking for it. It's like a chenille kind of yarn, okay? So yes, I'm glad some of you think it's so cute. Okay, let's see. Oh, Mari's asking, does the tote have to have leather straps? For the Essentials tote, it doesn't. You don't. And we're going to be talking about different types of handles. In the pictures, I think you probably saw, some students use fabric, some students use webbing, some students use leather, some made faux leather, some made the straps out of the same fabric that they use for the main parts of the bag. So a ton of different things. And it's great because it's an easy bag for beginners to whip up. And even if you're not a beginner, it has zippers, it has lots of pockets. You could even sell these for the upcoming craft fairs and things like that because they don't take that long to make. They're not super involved. They don't use a ton of interfacing. And it's a pretty, and I hate that I don't have one here to show you, but mine, like I said, I couldn't find it and it was in bad shape, even if I would have found it. Because I used it as my everyday purse for over 3 years, like I said. But we'll be going over a couple different strap options in the sew along, okay? So that'll be added to the course. So that'll be kind of a fun way to chit chat about that and give y'all some more ideas. Okay, so yes, great question. All right, now let's go ahead and switch to the over-the-shoulder camera shot because I am ready to begin my demo. Are y'all? let's do it. Okay, so this method of piecing your quilt blocks can also be used to piece, or not quilt blocks, this method of piecing your quilts can also be used to piece together quilt blocks. And I have just a sample here of 16 little 2.5-inch square blocks that are just smaller, just so I can show you what the technique is, and hopefully it makes sense to you if you're watching. If it doesn't, what you can do is cut out a couple squares like this too for yourself at home and walk through as you watch the replay of this demo. Watch it through and get it done yourself, because sometimes it takes a little bit for it to click in your head, and then you realize like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I know what I'm doing, and then you'll be able to carry it over to a larger quilt blocks and whatever, okay? So I just chopped up some of those fruity fabrics. I have 16 blocks here and I'm just alternating them, okay? Now, the technique is often called the spider web method. I've heard it called just the webbing method of piecing blocks or piecing quilts. And it really is my favorite way that I have found, and super fast, I think, to piece a quilt top. And I thought, because I still, like last week, I keep looking over here and talking about that baby quilt. That baby shower is on Saturday and the blocks are still on my design wall. The story of my life. So I need to piece that quilt, and I thought, oh, I would obviously, which I'm going to, piece it using the spiderweb method. I thought this would be a great demo to do today. So for those of you that are beginning quilters, and maybe for those of you that like to make quilts that have 7,342 blocks, this would be a fun way to put it together without it taking too long, okay? Thank you. Winless Original says, fun earrings. They're little zipper pulls. And everybody always asks me where I got them. I just got them on Amazon. Just type in zipper pull earrings and they should pop up. Okay. All right. So here's how we go. First, I'm going to reference this. We have a 4x4 grid, right? 4 across by 4 down. Rows, when I talk about rows, we're talking about this way, horizontally, okay? When I reference a column, we're talking about this way, vertically, okay? So this is the first block in the first row and the first column, right? Okay, this is the second this is the first block in the second column, but the second in the first row. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like you have to understand how the grid works in order to move forward with this technique. But here's how I like to teach it to my students. I only focus on the first two. You would lay out all your quilt blocks, pretend this is a quilt, or it also works like this. Like if you wanted to do something like this with your scrappy 2.5-inch square pieces, you could cut a ton of them, lay them out exactly to how they look good to your eyes, and then use this spiderweb method to piece it all together. You can make a huge table runner, you can make a tabletop, or whatever you want to do, okay? So we're going to start off focusing just with these 2 columns, okay? And I'm going to start with the first one, pick it up, and place it on top of the second, okay? Then I'm going to pick up the first one of the next row and put it on top of its buddy, right? The one right next to it. Then I'm adding, and notice the whole stack is on top. Whatever I'm picking up next is behind. So this is a great way to not mess up the orientation of your blocks or the position of where they need to be sewn. But the key is you got to keep them as they are, exactly as we're picking up, and we need to pick them up in the same manner each time. So now we're picking up the first and the second. Okay, so now you're thinking there's no way you have this chunk in your hand, and I almost turned it. Don't turn it, because if you're doing this with quilt blocks, you don't want to turn it, right? We leave this off to the side. Now, Zena says you should use that I should be using the actual quilt blocks to get started on the baby quilt. I thought about that, but guess what? They're big. There's no way. I wouldn't be able to kind of point out all the columns and all the rows like I'm doing here. So I thought about it. I was like, I should just get it done, but it's not going to work, Zena. I'm going to have to do it later on tonight after volleyball practice. Okay, we're going to turn on our sewing machine. I have a size 80-12 universal needle in here. I got white thread in the bobbin, same white thread in the top. Now, this whole stack, I know that the first one that I picked up was the first one that was here, right? And you can label these too. You can use like address labels. Oftentimes for my foundation paper piecing stuff, I use these little Avery labels. Remember these guys? You can just label it like A1, B1, C1, and things like that, so that just in case, you know, especially as you're beginning to kind of understand how this comes together. But here's my stack, okay? For sewing, I can just bring this full stack over, and depending on the size, you can use your pins or not, same thing. I'm going to take the first one, which I know was like that, and the second one was the buddy next to it, right? So if this was the correct orientation, I know that these guys need to get sewn pretty sides touching. Okay, and these are so small, I'm not going to bother to pin, but you know, you can do what works for you. Now for sewing, I'm going to set my machine up for sewing a scant 1/4 inch, which for me, y'all know, we got to scoot the needle position to 5, and then I'm just going to leave it at a 2.2 stitch length, okay? Something short and small because this is construction. So we had it like this, we're putting it like this, and we're sewing it like this. Do not cut your thread when you're done sewing. Oop. Make sure all my stuff is plugged in. When I get to the end, here's the best way really, I think, for beginners. Take one extra step off of the fabric. Just one, okay? The more you do, the longer the little chain of thread in between the pieces gets, and sometimes it can cause your blocks to kind of get twisted around and save it. This is going to make them so that they're all put together using the spider web method, and they're all super close, making it super easy to then sew the rows together, okay? So here we go. The next one was obviously the first one of the next row, right? Because I only picked up 2, 2, 2. I had 2 sewn, so whatever the next one is must be the left one of the next row, and the one right after that is the buddy that was next to it, right? So again, I put these 2 together. And so by doing it like this, you are placing one on top of the other, pretty sides touching, in the same orientation, right? I'm not sewing the little lemon print to the other side of it and then switching up the orientation. You pick them up in the same order. Whoop, there's my extra stitch. The next 2, whoop, I'll pick up one at a time. This one went here. This one went here. And I'm going slow because it's like to kind of teach you the technique. But once you get the hang of this, you just are like, you know, the pattern just makes sense in your head, okay? This is the buddy that was next to it. And we're going to keep doing it like this. This also comes in really handy, even if you don't label. For those of you that, you know, are maybe using a guest room as a quilting studio and people are coming over, you got to pick up all your stuff. You can have it all stacked already and like label it column 1, and you have them all, you know, put together. Now, I know that I'm doing good. I haven't lost any pieces because I have 2 left. This is the one on top that goes to the left. This is the one here that goes to the right. Easy, right? And we'll do one more stitch right there. Okay, I got to the bottom. I don't have any more here. Now we can cut our thread. Now, let me cut the thread on top. Don't flip this over. This is still the top, okay? This is not the top. So this is our top. So now I have this, and I'm going to put it like this. You know that it goes like this because when I did pretty side on top of the other, we stitched with the bulk of the fabric to the left and the seam was to the right. That's how I know it was oriented like this and not like this. Does that make sense? Because my stitching here is to the left. I know I didn't have the bulk of the fabric going this way, so I know that's not the same position in which I stitched it. It was like this. So now what does this tell me? This, in my head, is easy to bring it over to my ironing board, okay? And I ended up with more stitches here. Here I did the 1 stitch. What happened is I didn't feed them all the way through, so I started stitching before it reached the fabric, but it's no big deal. I'll show you anyways. This is a small sample to teach you with. So I go and I press, okay? If you have a tailor's clapper, definitely grab one. If you want to get a pretty one like this, I put the link in my description to the Modern American Heritage where he does his custom clappers, okay? So now, you obviously, depending on your pattern, will see like which way you need to press your seams. But I'm just going to press to the left on this one. Okay. The next one here, I'm just going to press to the left on all these. For now, just because I'm not going to turn the whole thing around. But you know what I'm saying. Press your seams to how you need them to be. Okay. Next one. Ideally, you would be pressing these in opposite directions, okay? Just so that they abut easily. But for instructional purposes, I'm going to try not to mess with these blocks either, you know, without turning the whole thing. Okay. And you don't even have to press at this step. If you had a ton of these and it's little ones like this, you open it and just finger crease the seam allowance whichever way, and you can see it lies pretty flat. You can keep grabbing pieces and going from there. So now, this is in the exact order, right? We still kind of have that checkerboard design going down, so we know we haven't messed anything up. And now we need to go in and attach the next ones. How are we going to do it? Well, the way I like to teach it so that you have minimal mess up and confusion stuff going on is I just go column by column. So now we're here. This is column 3, and we're going to start at the top, pick up the first, on top of the second, pick them both up, on top of the third, pick them both up, on top of the fourth. Okay, so now the stack that's in my hand, I know that the topmost block is the one that's on top. The one that's next to it needs to be sewn underneath it, right? Which is, it means it's going to go here because this is underneath this. Does that make sense? So this goes to this one, the second one gets sewn to that one, the third one gets sewn to this one, and the last one is the last of the column, so it has to get sewn to the last row. Is that starting to make sense for those of you that maybe have never done this before? So here's how we go. We grab our little web. So far, I have my next stack, and this can work for 24 blocks going down. It doesn't matter, okay? I keep them oriented the correct way. The first one gets sewn to the first row. So I'm going to place one on top of the other with pretty sides. And just so. Let me see if I can keep these to just 1 or 2 extra stitches at the end if I can feed this in closer and pay attention to what I'm doing. Oop, needle down. Okay, next one. Next one. I grab it, put it on top, sew it. And my sewing machine is half on the mat, half on the other mat, so it's like rocking a little bit. All right. I did it again. I'm worried about the rocking sewing machine. Let me scoot it over a bit. There. Next one goes to the next one, right? So we put this here. And to get them really close so it's like more snug, and really if they're smaller blocks, I find that even smaller pieces like this, smaller units, I find that it does decrease the need for pins because everything is like so close together if you do it like that with the little tight stitches in between. One more, and then my last one goes to the last one. So far we haven't lost any blocks, right? We haven't messed up anything, and everything matches so far so good. Down to the last one means we can cut, right? Great. So now, okay, you do the same thing. You can finger press or you can press for real. It doesn't matter, okay? Let's just, I'm going to just keep pressing them all to the left. If I need to go back in, I'll swap some out. But just so you see, finger crease it if you want to. 1, 2, the next one. And they all just end up falling right in line. The whole thing, even if you went through and say you were piecing a big quilt, if you pieced it like this first and then had to set it aside for the next day, the whole thing would be together, okay? Because of all the little bits of thread that are connecting all the rows together, okay? So there's that. You do the same thing with the last one. I pick up, on top, pick up, on top, pick up, on top, in the same order in which I'm going to sew them. So we just continue the same process. So this is my first one. I grab my first one from the picked up stack. It really is easy. Like once it clicks in your head, it's like, oh my goodness, why didn't I do this before? Because y'all know, walking over to the design wall, grabbing one block, adding it, standing back, looking at it, that will triple the time that it took you to make that quilt. And you're just like, oh, does that one go good there? Yeah, I kind of like it. Then you grab another one. Even when we piece together like rows, one full row, then you press it, put it up there. Grab the second row, put it up there. That can get really daunting because some of those rows, if we're piecing a larger quilt, have, 20 blocks going across in one direction. And it can get to be quite a lot. And then they're all like kind of stretching on you a little bit. You know how that goes. Whenever you piece a ton of stuff, it's just like all kind of things can go wrong. And then you feel bad because you're like, you know how long it took me to make these blocks? But this method is just one by one, whoop, minimal stuff going on. Here's the next one, pretty side on top. And like, you don't even have to think about this. After you get it down, it's just going to be like, you know where the next one goes, you know where the next one goes. You just got to get the pattern kind of in your head. So I encourage everybody to chop up some little squares, some little scraps, and just give it a try on something, on a sample thing, right? Not on a real project unless you feel confident that you got it already. That way you don't have to take out the seam ripper in case you do stitch a block. But we all know how that goes. How many of us have sewn in a block upside down? You make the whole quilt and then you look at it and you're like, wait, what? That's not. And it'll be like a block smack dab in the middle that you turned 90 degrees or sewed it in upside down or something. I had students do that at our last quilting cruise back in 2020. We were piecing all the blocks and they get to the end and they hold it up and then they're like, no, I flipped one over and it was not the way it was supposed to be. Because then you're like, then you got to decide, is it worth it? Do I just leave it? Is anybody else going to notice? Or is it really just going to bother you to look at that quilt with that with one block off, right? Chris says, yep, that was me just last week. I feel for you. All right, so look what happens. We got this, this, this. You can piece them. And again, you can piece, you know, press the seam allowance whatever way you need to. This iron's kind of chunky for this little mat, so I'm just going to finger crease these over. But you do want to at least finger press them, okay? Because you want them to be lying flat. Because think about it. Now the next step is going to be to put the rows together, right? But this is an awesome time for you to glance at it and see, do I still have the pattern that I need to have? Are there any things that need to be changed up? Because if there are, this would be the time to separate them, right? And take apart, you know, maybe swap off a block that's in the wrong place or something versus after you've already pieced together all the rows and all the columns. That's, you know, that's what I'm talking about. It'll be like that one right there will have messed with you, or like that one. Somewhere right in the middle where you just got to take apart the whole thing. So now what do we got to do? Easy peasy. Boom, right? So now we're going to start sewing the whole thing together. And you'll see that because you have like just a little bit of thread that's holding everything together there, it's not enough to really add any type of wild bulk to the back of your quilt or anything like that. You're just going to flip it. And if there are bigger blocks, I would put a pin right there. You know, you have your seam allowances, ideally going opposite directions. I don't, but I'm still going to put a pin. No big deal. This one is easier, I think, for me to flip it to the other side, so I can do that. And then the same thing on this one, okay? So you send the seams to whichever which way you need them. You can put a pin just at the intersections, and then the whole thing stays still together, okay? And you come over and you sew down this way. Easy peasy. Don't judge my points. We'll see. Fingers crossed that they somewhat match. I don't do my best work live on camera while I'm running my mouth. But here we go. Let's open this up and ta-da. Perfect points. Thank you. All right, so we have those two. I'm not even going to press it yet, okay? I'm going to move on right to the next batch. So now it's this whole thing to this guy. Or you could go there. You know how that goes. Once you have rows done, you can decide which ones you want to connect. But I love, here I have kind of a little bit longer of a tail. This is the one that I did more stitching in between. That, it kind of causes it to have a little bit of extra wiggle room in there. So you really have to like match up the intersections a little bit more. Whereas when you only have 1 or 2 stitches right there in between, they're kind of like, it doesn't really have anywhere else to go. It's super easy to match up that intersection. So same thing. And sometimes, I'll be honest, what I do is I don't even put a pin. And I won't even like connect them there. I'll take it to the sewing machine and I will force the intersection. If I know that I've been pretty precise in cutting my units out, right, and sewing consistent seam allowance, I will just take it over and I know, you see here, there's only one little stitch. and you really can't have it go anywhere else but matching up. So it sets itself right there perfectly. Even though my seam allowances are not going in opposite directions on this example, it's still like it won't let me put it too far one way or the other. So that I think is the key of, you know, trying to aim. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but trying to aim for just one, maybe two extra stitches is really going to help you keep those intersecting points a little bit more precise. Okay. So that's that. Pull that pin. We don't sew over pins here. I try to pull them all out before I get to them. It might be right before I get to them, but I definitely pull them before I get to them. Okay, and then because this is a little sample, I'm just gonna keep sewing and then I'll press them all at the same time. But I love it because it doesn't really allow you, especially if you're heavy-handed like me. When I first started quilting, I would kind of like hold and yank without even noticing it and really distort my quilt blocks. Even if I was nice and accurate, I starched everything before I cut out. Just in the handling of the blocks, it's like they wouldn't stay exactly how they were when I finished the block by itself. So this really helps minimize like distortion and just handling it too much because everything stays together. Think about it. Every time you go and grab a block or grab a couple and then go back and then smooth it out and then grab the next thing, you're really touching that fabric a lot, and this helps minimize that. So for me, when I first started doing this ages ago, it really became a game changer. So I thought I would share it with y'all. Okay, next one, you see, it's already in place. It don't want to go nowhere. Look at the difference. This one has maybe 8 stitches in between it. You see how it's splayed out like that? This one has less, and this one only has 1 extra stitch. And it's literally, they're not even sewn together, and it looks like it's sewn together because that's how right on the point of that seam allowance it is. So it makes it easier for those of you that maybe struggle a little bit to match your intersecting seams. Try it. And then, you know, try to keep it down to 1 or 2 extra stitches so that that really helps you. It's almost like having a pin because it's right there. It doesn't really let you go elsewhere, okay? And I'm putting some pins here, but like I said, you could also, like this one when it has a bunch, like a little tail, a whole thing like that, then yeah, you can, you know, put a pin just to not run the risk of it moving any more on you, okay? And that's it. We're going to stitch this up and press it and see what we're working with. Hold on. The rocking sewing machine there. All right. And the piecing part for me is not my favorite. Y'all know, cutting is. But this makes it so it almost becomes like a little game because it's like a puzzle. So because my brain has to stay a little bit more engaged when I'm piecing like this, it's not just like grab one, sew it, grab one, sew it, because I have to be thinking, okay, which column did I grab? This one is on top. It actually makes the piecing, the boring piecing part for me, a little more fun. So now you can decide, you know, depending on the pattern, if you needed to press all the seam allowances one way or the other, whatever that is, you can press it, you know, whatever direction it calls for. Yeah, Chris says, now you have a block for a mug rug. Definitely. And this is a good little scrap busting project too. If you have a lot of scraps, make one of these just to get the technique down, and then you can turn it into a little something, right? Without feeling like you have to tackle a whole new quilt in order to try out the technique. So that's another idea. And, you know, with all the different holidays coming up, you can make little table runners. This could be a little cute table topper, like a little trivet, right? Quilt it to some of that polytherm fusible fleece. And those points do look pretty good if I do say so myself. Easy peasy, right? So this was just a small version of what is going on a design wall typically if we have blocks. So if you think about each one of these as full quilt blocks, this I think would come in handy too if you're working on a quilt that has a very specific orientation for each of the blocks. Like maybe they come together and they touch on certain seams to create like a secondary design or something, and you absolutely want to make sure that you don't mess up the order or how you turn them. This would be a game changer, okay, for that too. And then of course, if you feel like you need an added layer of assuredness, you could label them Boom, boom, boom. So that as you're sewing, you kind of glance at your label and make sure that you're putting the right things together, and that would work, okay? Yeah, so Marcia is saying that she got here late, but she is going to save it. So all of these live videos are always available on the replay on my YouTube channel. I know a lot of my subscribers don't even know that I go live because unfortunately YouTube puts the lives on a whole separate video column. It's like in a different menu for the lives. So if anybody's coming across here and they're thinking, does she only do lives? I have a ton of tutorials. Those are going to be under the videos section, and then all the live shows, they sort them out and put them under the live tab, okay? Just so that y'all know. All right, let's see. Oh, good. Kathy says, I can't wait to try this with my Disney character scraps I have from a baby quilt I made. That will be so perfect. Awesome. Yeah, and if any of you make little scrappy projects like this and you try out the technique, post the pictures on Facebook or Instagram. You can use the hashtag Crafty Gemini so you can show me what you did, and I'll have a look and see what everybody's working on, okay? All right, so that is going to be it for this demo. Remember that we have a sew along for the Essentials tote bag that kicks off tomorrow. The links for everything is in the caption, in the description, in the post. Just click under, show more, and you'll be able to see all the different things. Make sure that you sign up for our email newsletter so you can stay in the loop with all the stuff that we got going on. I have a Spooky Craft Week coming up from October 7th through the 11th. I'm featuring new crafting tutorials that are all Halloween themed. So if you want to tune in for that, definitely make sure that you're subscribed to the Crafty Gemini YouTube channel. I'll be posting more stuff on that. And actually, you know, I had pulled this little bundle. Do y'all remember this Halloweeny? It's called Spooky Mix. I bought this at the Ruby Star booth this year at QuiltCon. And I thought, oh my gosh, this would be so cute. And they're fat quarters. There's 15 fat quarters in here. And you know, fat quarters, I mean, they're a good size, but you can't really make multiple of the same type of block if they're a larger block. But what if I chopped these guys up with my Stripology rulers into squares and made a Halloweeny table runner with this type of design? Just, you know, bunch of different little Halloweeny prints. That might work because they're all different colors too. Ideas, ideas. Start going through your scrap stashes. Yeah, that's kind of cute. I like that. Okay, anyways, I have so many ideas. So, Spooky Craft Week, Janet says, Spooky Craft Week, yay! Yes, awesome. So if you're into Halloween, definitely stay tuned. That's going to be October 7th through the 11th. Tell your friends. And I will be featuring a variety of crafts. Some will be sewing and quilting kind of stuff. We're going to do some Cricut crafts. So for those of you that have bought the Cricut Joy or have a Cricut Maker, I know a lot of you have it in a box somewhere and you're like, I need to have a project so that I actually open it up and do stuff with it. I'm going to feature some Cricut projects, some like Dollar Tree crafts, that kind of stuff. I'm going to do some stuff with my laser cutter, my We Create 20-watt laser cutter and engraver, just a variety of different types of Halloweeny crafts that we can all make, right? Whether you sew or not, you know, just different things that you can try out. Obviously, if you don't have a laser cutter, but you know, they sell some laser cut stuff out there too. So just lots of ideas to share with y'all. I'm glad you love Halloween too, Mari. She says, looking forward to that. Awesome. And so I think that is going to be it. I don't have anything else left to tell y'all. I think I covered everything. I do want y'all to try out this spider web piecing technique. Get it? Spider web, Halloween. I thought it was perfect for today to share this demo with y'all. Give it a try. Let me know how you like it. And I will be in touch via email. Okay, for those of you that have signed up for the Essentials Tote Bag Sew Along, you'll get an email from me, a reminder for tomorrow's live. You can log into the class and have access to the link there so that we can get started with that project tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so thanks again, everybody, for tuning in today. Yes, Zena, you can take your Cricut out of the box in a couple weeks. That will be perfect. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, everybody.